Hello, thanks for joining me as I continue speaking about manhood and womanhood. If you were with me in my last video entitled Womanhood versus Manhood, I was asking the question instead of what do you bring to the table, I said, who are you bringing to the table? Who are you? Are you a complete healthy, mentally developed human being that has high self-esteem, that knows who they are, who is grounded, who has a philosophy and worldview on life? Are you whole, a whole one, before you invite another to become two? Hopefully the person that you do pick out is whole also. To have a healthy relationship, it needs two well-developed people, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, financially, spiritually, religiously. And I don't think people think about who they are. It is a world of what do you have? And men find that that's all women look at. What do you have? And they pretty much say, what are you bringing to the table? And we're caught up in that, and relationships can't go anywhere. What's more important is who are you bringing to the table, because that person is going to change and become different from their 20s to their 30s to their 40s to their 50s, and you need to see who that person is, that they can adapt and change and grow and have goals and reach those goals. So I'm asking everyone to stop the what do you bring to the table and go to who are you bringing to the table. And to do that, you should go through some natural states of human development that a lot of people don't speak about. But as we grow, as we age, there are milestones we should pass. Just like children, there's a certain age when they start crawling and start walking and start running, and you look for those markers to know that your child is healthy. The same thing with adults. It goes beyond those markers, and it goes all the way into end of life. And so today I'm going to speak on those more so in depth. I brought them up, the 8 stages of human development. And this 8 stages, just to refresh, is infancy, toddlerhood, preschool years, early school years, adolescence, young adulthood, and that's the group that I really am addressing with all of my videos, because those are the ones that's online voicing their frustration with women and in the dating arena, and men are encouraging other men to become stoic and unavailable and to be a player, trying to combat what's going on with young adulthood. So we'll get into that more. Then you have middle adulthood, and then you have late adulthood. Now, there are markers that each person, human, should go, and of course scientists have studied this, psychologists have studied this and came up with this. I'm using the 8 stages. There are other models to go by, but I was exposed to this one when I was a nurse way back in my 20s, and I used this for raising my children and for my self-reflection and evaluation of myself and looking at where I want to go in the future. So you can find other models. That's why I'm not giving the name of the man that decided there's 8 stages, because I'm not telling you to do. I'm showing options, opening up the mind to think, hopefully get you to formulate something else, and you can choose your own. Go online. We have everything at the push of a button. Look up human growth and development, and you may want to pull apart from one particular scientist and another one and form your own. The thing that's most important is the end result, for you to be mentally healthy, functional, emotionally healthy in all those areas. So that is the end goal, to be healthy mentally and emotionally. So in the first stage, what they call infancy, there's 2 markers, and either the baby learns to trust or mistrust. And we hear a lot of people say, I don't trust anyone. I have a problem with trust. Trust, trust, trust. That's a red flag. When someone says, I don't trust people, that's a red flag, because we shouldn't be in a state of so much trust. As an adult, we do know people do things to make us feel everyone is not trustworthy. But we need to move beyond that, because that's not true. Everybody you meet is not untrustworthy. And if it is, you probably need to change the pool of your social setting a little bit, that you are in an environment where everyone is not trustworthy and you're the only one that's trustworthy. You need to reflect and look at that, and you probably need to make some changes in your life. So you can't live a healthy life where everyone you meet is not trustworthy. And we do get hurt and we do mistrust, but you mistrust the person that hurt you. So in infancy, this is where the child learns to trust, or he'll go to mistrust. And one of the key things I know is the old ladies will say, when your baby cry, don't run to them and pick them up. If your baby's crying, let them cry until they stop. They'll fall asleep or they'll be quiet. Don't hold your child and comfort them. Just leave them there. That teaches the child mistrust. The only way they can vocalize or show something is wrong with them is to cry. It's all they have. So their cry means, I do need you. You may not believe they need you, but they saying, I need you. And when they cry and no one shows up for them, that's right. They learn no one cares. No one is here for me. I am alone. I can't count on anyone. Babies cry when they're hungry, sick, sad. Sometimes they just cry. But you are teaching them, I am here. I will do what I can to solve your problem. And even if the baby just wants to be held, you can navigate and teach the child, this is time I hold you, this is time I don't hold you. But leaving a baby to just cry themselves till they stop teaches mistrust. No one comes when I need them. No one's there. No one shows up. So that is rooted in the base of people. And there are a lot of people that went by that philosophy. Don't spoil your child by picking them up. Don't rock them to sleep. Leave them. There are ways to navigate as a parent, and you should look up parenting resources and tools on how to handle a baby that has a big need. But your baby is developing in some characteristics, like my youngest daughter. She was a more difficult baby. What I used for my other two didn't work for her. And I had to adapt to her right then in infancy. And she continued to be that person throughout her life. It wasn't she was a bad baby. She was persistent, which is good for her now. She was strong-willed, which is good for her now. She was determined, which is good for her now. And she was exhibiting that at young age, toddler, even infancy. So some things you're taking the character, the foundation of a baby away when they're there, but you work with them, you train them, you give it boundaries and things like that. So as early as infancy, you learn trust and mistrust. So you should check your own development and see, are you in mistrust? Because that's the unhealthy side of human development, to have mistrust. And you can always fix that. You can't say, I'm not a baby anymore, it's too late, the boat has sailed. No, you can go back and fix these things. So the next thing is toddlerhood. And this is what everyone says is the terrible twos, and they are correct. Toddlers seem to try to just kill themselves. They run into walls. They fall off of couches. They do everything. But that is good. Even if you look in the animal kingdom, when the little babies are wrestling and playing and exploring, the little tiger cubs and putting their nose on things that sting them and leaping on top of mom and jumping, that is learning. Okay, in infancy, I had someone to take me and place me here. When I needed something, they got it and brought it. in toddlerhood, they're like, hey, I think my body can do these things. I think I can get off the couch. I think I can climb up to the dinner table. I do see that over there and I wonder what it is. And mommy doesn't have to bring it to me. I can go. And as far as the running into stuff, they're testing their body. They're like, I can do things. This body is great. Look at it do this thing. And then they do run into a wall and they learn, okay, I need to run somewhere else where there isn't walls. So, yes. So in toddlerhood, they learn autonomy. And that's what autonomy is. My body can do things. I'm testing the limits of my body. Can it do this? Can it do that? And they're learning. And they know that they're separate now from people having to bring everything and take them everywhere. Now they can walk upstairs like mom did. And they're very pleased and very happy. And you're like, oh my gosh. So if they don't, if they're not allowed to do this, and I see a lot of people do not allow their children to do anything, they're constantly stop, sit down, be quiet, they're getting hit, slapped, all that stuff. They learn shame and doubt. And what that is the shame is, I want to do things with my body. I want to test things, and you saying no, no. And then they have doubt because they're like, but why do I have this feeling that I want to do this? Am I wrong? Is something wrong? What's going on with me? I'm always having these other feelings of I want to run up those stairs, and I'm ashamed because I have that feeling, and now I have doubt because I probably can't do it or mommy would let me do it. So they end up with shame and doubt and inability to do things. So in this stage, you need to set safe boundaries for your children to explore, to tumble, to play, to test themselves, to encourage them to do new things and see things. What is that? That's pretty. Don't touch it. That's fire. That's what it's all about. And the parent has to have enough reserve to make it through toddlerhood, because this is when they learn independent, or they become dependent, right? Independence or dependency. So you have a lot of people that are not independent, and you're like, why don't you have some gumption? Why don't you stop them so much? You aborted that feeling of I can, I will, I should. Wow, this is wonderful to go out there and see and test and touch and the new, and I can achieve and I can accomplish, and I have this wonderful body that does all of these things. So some people become dependent and they're shy, and I don't try new things, and I don't know about that, and really I'm not interested, I don't care. They have shrunk back down, and their world is smaller because of that. So toddlerhood is autonomy versus shame and doubt. And if they're not allowed to explore and be even a little wild, it really, because that's what they are, almost feral, they learn shame and doubt. So you have to have the safe spaces and give them time and places to explore and run free and tumble and rolling grass and all of that stuff. And that teaches them independence. My body is capable, it's able, it is something, and it can do things, and I'm going to keep testing it to see what more it can do. All right, so next you go to preschool years, and that's initiative versus guilt. Did you hear that word, initiative? And you get in relationships and you're like, oh, she don't want nothing, he don't want nothing, they don't have any goals. You never see them trying to do anything. Why aren't they more motivated? Why don't they, strive for something? They don't want anything. They just sit there and don't go, I can't be with that kind of person. And so you hear that a lot. So in preschool years, we have initiative versus guilt. And this is where they learn to assert themselves and speak up when they need something. And this is when, you hear the kids getting slapped again, be quiet, because they're like, what is this? How does that work? What is this? What is that? I want this. I don't want that. And they got these standoff with children, and I don't like this and I don't like that. And usually they're getting, you shut up, you're going to get what you get, and you're going to do what you do, and everything like that. But that teaches them they don't have a voice. They don't have choices. They can't ask for stuff. They may get hit. If I ask for this, I'm going to get hit. If I want this, I'm going to get hit. If I get up enough courage to say, I don't like these shoes, they're going to force them on me anyway. So they don't say anything. And that leads to guilt and timidity. Soon they start thinking the same thing as in toddlerhood. I shouldn't want these things. I'm upsetting people because I want to do this. This leads to arguments. This is this and this is that. So they have guilt for speaking up. I shouldn't have said anything. Now I got sister in trouble. I not only got in trouble, I got my sisters in trouble. They're mad at me and everything like that. So they have guilt. And one of the wonderful things that an instructor told me during parenthood in this time is you give them two good choices. I want cake for breakfast, and you can say, oh, you can have cake, but cake is for dinner or for a treat when we have once a week a treat. I can give you either a banana or an apple, and you give them two choices so they learn how to say, I can decide what I like, I can pick. And usually they're very happy. You gave them a choice. They voiced they wanted something. You listened to them, and then you gave them two good choices. And they're probably going to say, I want banana or apple. Or usually they say, that's all right, I'll wait till dinner time for the cake. All of that gives them choice. And you say, I can't be doing that with children. You got to remember, they're not children their entire lives. You are raising people that's going to be functional adults later. Yes, you don't want to fool with a child right now. Probably not. But you're going to fool with that adult child later. And it's probably not going to be nice. Then you're going to be like, I don't know what happened to them. They weren't raised like that. Okay. So the same thing with clothes. When they're like, I don't want to wear that. I want to wear my Batman outfit. You could pick something that's more suitable and say you can wear the shirt, and then we can put these pants or this skirt or these shoes with them and allow them to choose in boundaries. And that teaches people I make choices within rules and with boundaries. I'm able to navigate, compromise, and still express myself and have what I want. So if this is messed up in the preschool years, initiative, people do not have a voice, do not speak up. You'll hear it at home and grumbling and stuff, but in public, you probably won't hear anything. And it leads to timidity from the guilt of, oh, I'm going to say something and it's going to blow up, or I'm going to say something and cause trouble and everything. And most of them, usually, some children get hit a lot. So they're like, this leads to big trouble. I get hit. I used to get in trouble. So it leads to guilt. The next is early school years, and this is industry versus inferiority. You hear that word? Inferiority or industry. I used to love it. I wasn't born in the South, and I came to the South, and my grandmother would say, she just ain't industrious. And I'm like, that has to do with buildings. What is she talking about? An industry. How is someone industrious? But industrious means in early school years, now they're going to school, and before they was in the family unit, there was a dad. You know what dads look like. There's a mom. I know what moms look like. Sister and brother, I know what they look like. Grandma. Now they are with people that are relatively just like them, the same age group, the same abilities. They in the same room together. They're doing the same thing. They are all the same. Where in the family unit, it was distinctions. Now the child is in a group of people that are the same, and he starts to compare himself and look at the other children around him or her and say, hey, how do I measure up with these children? All these children can run fast. And it's like, check, I can run fast. All of these children can color well. Check, I can color well. They start to compare themselves. And one thing that little black girls do that has always saddened me, and it usually happens, that we have African American hairstyles where we put our hairs in the little bands and we twist them and we have pretty barrettes on our hair. And that has been done forever in the Black community. Then a little black girl whose hair was fine and lovely in her family unit and around people go to school. Now it's the little white girls with hair that's loose and free and get to blow in the wind. And all of a sudden they're like, why my hair doesn't do that? Or why isn't my hair like that? Or can I wear my hair down? Fix my hair where it blows in the wind. And it is a time where you have to impart to the girls, your hair is beautiful, your hair is lovely, your hair is different. Her hair will blow in the wind no matter what she do. You have versatility in your hair. You can have different styles. You can't have them now at this age. But you have to impart whatever the child is. You have to encourage it and build it and what have you. You don't have to put others down to build someone up. You're thinking about your own child. What are the positives in my child? The same thing with money and finances. If a child doesn't have the same income and ability to purchase the same clothes as others, that child may say, hey, all these children have wonderful clothes and my clothes aren't that great. And the parent can't do anything to fix their income, and they shouldn't break the bank trying to help their kids keep up with the Joneses. You have to impart to them, oh, you're beautiful in what you do wear, and look at you, you're such a great athlete, you're such a great writer, your penmanship is wonderful. You listen to the teacher, she says you're the best student in there. When you go outside and play, everyone wants to be with you. And you have to encourage what the child is, what their talents are, and help nurture them and focus on them, because there are economic disparities. There will always be children that have this and other children who don't. But that's not the focus. And I think a lot of times it starts there with the keeping up with Joneses. I got to have these material things. I got to look like this. I'm copying the next person. I must have this, instead of saying, hey, I'm grounded in me, my talents, my abilities. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm working for. I'm not spending my entire time trying to step in pace with my peers. I am stepping pace with them because I can run, because I can color, that I sing when we have music time. I listen to the teacher and I pay attention. I am on equal par in all avenues with other children my age. So they learn to compare themselves. And this is a time where self-esteem develops. And you should have known that's where this was going, that this is where their self-esteem begins. And if their self-esteem is only on material things, hey, I got the latest thing like Susie Bell. I have the best clothes just like this group. If it is focused on those outward things, there's no inward self-esteem. And that's what that children is instilled. My self-esteem is on how I look and what I have instead of who I am. So this is industry versus inferiority. They learn industry, which is they are assessing who they are along their peers, and am I following that and functioning like that and producing like that? And sadly, some get focused on looks and outward things, and it's up to the parent to direct that a little better. And I always tell the child, they look good, they're beautiful. I always told my children, the clothes don't wear you. You wear the clothes. It really isn't a dollar amount or whatever. You can put on something that's $100,000. That don't give you self-esteem. It's a you. I feel good in what I wear, no matter what the price is or where it comes from. My clothes don't wear me. I wear my clothes. So if you don't handle this well and they keep feeling they're so much below and not on par with the same people of their same group and their same peers, it really produces low self-esteem. So it's very important those early school years to not allow your child to get so wrapped up. And shut up is not how you address it. You need to have discussions and talks and encouragement and nurturing what they do have, and tell them how wonderful what they do have. And every child has something wonderful, a spark, a gift. And you need to focus on that and how wonderful that is and what they bring, who they're bringing to the table. So now we hit adolescence, and I don't know, I think adolescence is pretty much the roughest. It's pretty rough. And young adulthood, I think those two, stage 5 adolescence and stage 6, a pretty difficult time. And adolescence, they're learning identity versus role confusion. So either you learn your identity in adolescence or you have role confusion. And so in adolescence, people are developing a sense of self. They don't depend on their parents for social activities, interactions, and guidance anymore. And this is where they're looking at groups. Do I belong in this group? I want to fit in this group. I don't like that group. I want to do this with my body. It may be attractive, blue hair. Next week, yellow hair. Then it's maybe piercings and tattoos, whatever. But this is where they're trying to find their identity. What do I like? And it goes, changes many times, and it may just be one I identify this one time. So adolescents may do their identification at this time to fit into groups because they want to belong. I'm part of, I want to be cool, I want to be noticed, I want to be in a smart group, whatever. But they're making decisions now. I want to belong to groups. In early preschool years, they don't do that. I want to belong in groups. But adolescents, because they're trying to find their identity. I identify with the pretty girls. I identify with the smart people. I identify with the renegades or the urban street kids, and they will change their looks and try to use those to fit in. And then you have those say, I refuse to be labeled. So you have a lot of things, but they're trying to find identity, who I am, what I like, what I want to be a part of. And this is the time before they enjoyed their parents, they love the parents, let's go parents. Now they won't be caught dead with their parents because they don't identify with that group. I'm not an old person. I don't want to be in that group. So no, they're trying to find out who they are. And it's trying for parents. And same thing, you have to set up some boundaries and you have to give some freedom. And that's what parents are, or traffic cop, I guess, in human growth and development, to make sure there's safety and rules followed, but they let the children drive the car, right? Okay. In life, when I say that, that's where they're navigating and going. I'm just using that as an example. So if they aren't allowed to try a little bit here and try a little bit there and go from this group and go to that group, they have role confusion. I don't belong. I don't belong anywhere. I don't fit in anywhere. My mother and parents aren't allowing me to be me. Other people say, no, I can't be this or I can't do that, And it leads to role confusion. And, of course, in adolescence, we're starting to have these shooters, mass shootings at school where these people are like, I hate this group. They just get targeted on that group of people. They were mean and they were hateful, so I go shoot up the whole thing. And I didn't like that group and everything. But they were trying so much to be in that group or wanting to be accepted by that group when there's so much more. Same thing. What are your gifts? What are you good in? Try this and that, everything. You can actually be in the band and still dress like what you prefer. Parents help navigate some things, but they get role confusion and they don't know who they are, don't have a sense of belonging. Same thing gangs can offer them. I like you, come here, be a part of this, you're wonderful. And they're offering them identity and pulling them in and say, you can do this, do the tattoos under the eye or what have you, whatever they do. I don't know what they do, but this is a time. And that's what parents say, oh, they fell in with the wrong crowd. Yeah, they fall in with the wrong crowd. And if we have to pay a lot of attention here. And like I said, adolescence may be the hardest for parents to just stand there and don't give up, don't give in. Help them in finding who they are instead of you telling them who they're going to be. Help them to navigate this time so they won't have road confusion. The next stage is young adults, and this is what I see: a big online presence, always a big online presence. And I hate to hear how much complaining it is about the opposite sex. Women are complaining about men. Women call men dogs, and I say, listen, I don't allow a woman to call a man a dog in my presence. I said, listen, God created man. He knew what man was, and he created a dog. He knew what a dog was. He made two distinct things. Men are not dogs. Act like dogs. Don't even go there. They're having other problems, and as long as you keep saying they act like an animal, you're not addressing what's going on. You're not identifying what you want. You're not identifying if you keep going after those characteristics. You gave them a label, and now you're just really not proactive in getting what you want, setting your goals, and obtaining. Same thing with men, calling women bees and hoes and all of that. I don't go for that. Because they're not those things. And if you address a woman like that, I can't see you. If you could speak to a woman like that, I can't see you in a nurturing, caring, loving relationship where she is the most important thing in your life, because you so easily use derogatory terms towards the female sex, and you're like, oh, that's just them. This one is special. How did you get a philosophy that all women are bees and hoes, and it's only going to be one that you pluck out? You're one that's not. I don't think you're going to be able to maintain something that's a philosophy and let one person off the hook. So that's it. So young adulthood is intimacy versus isolation. And I love what Pastor T.D. Jakes said, Bishop T.D. Jakes said, intimacy is see into me. Intimacy is see into me. And this is what young adulthood is. It's time where you form lasting bonds, relationship bonds. This is where, when you see people went to college and joined sororities and fraternities, they have those friends well into their 50s and 60s. They still stepping with them and keeping in contact, going on trips together and everything. Long bonds, relationship bonds. They allow those people to see into me, to interact and know them. Same thing with the sexual relationships, and no, I should say love relationship. In love relationships, it's when you allow the person that you care about to get to know you, to see into you. This is something you have to learn. And people say, what do they say? I don't trust anybody. I've been hurt too much before. I've been this and this. You're not going to have healthy relationships until you're able to allow people to see into you. That you say, yes, this person hurt me, this type of person, this situation, it was this age time. He wasn't ready, I wasn't ready. That is done. I learned from it. Now I'm moving. I think this is better for me. I'm this type of person now. I did some self-work. I'm older. I'm in another time frame. Now I think it's time to allow someone to see into me. Same thing if it happened again, and that's life. This is not the first time in history that relationships do not work out. It has always been that way. You are so unique, and the other person is so unique. Do you think it is just that easy for to match up? No, it's not that easy, because you're unique and special, and you have certain wants and needs and expectations, and the other person does too. That is just a mature attitude. Everyone is not going to want you and fall in love with you. And definitely if you're just out there short term, people approaching dating now, they're not saying, I want to be in a long bonded relationship. It's like, let's give this a try and see what happens. So nobody's letting anyone see into them. So it's even the approach in the dating field. People are not approaching dating as I'm looking for the one. and I want to have a long-term relationship, but they want all the benefits of that. You can't get the benefits of a person who's invested in a long-term relationship when you're just around for a little while. It's not going to happen. And so a lot of people are like, hey, I'm not giving my all, but then you want the other person to give their all to you, to be wild about you, to be crazy about you, to just do everything for you, and you still reserve because you're like, I may have to dash, So, yeah, but this is where you must learn how to form long-lasting bonded relationship. And like I said, in sorority and fraternities, another thing is in the military. When men and women go to the military, I was in the military, they keep up with a lot of the people they met during their military service. I have 2 friends that I still keep up with. We were in the military together, and they live in different states, and it's been 30 years since I've been out, and I still talk to them and speak to them. So in the military, you'll see people forming long relationship bonds, and that is just a part of young adulthood. You find those relationships. You start in adolescence is about you, and preschool is about you, in early years is about you, right? Preschoolers learn to assess themselves with their peers. Early school people years decided to compare themselves. One was assess, am I like this? Then the other one is compare themselves and develop self-esteem. Adolescence was developing self. Now in young adulthood is looking out. I want to be partnered in relationships. Now it's not about just them. It's about me being with other people and enjoying and have intimate relationships. Now, if you're unable to have intimacy, to allow anyone to see into you, to be that kind of person, it leads to isolation. Nobody's going to spend their time with you. Why? You're playing. You're not into it. You're not engaged. You may disappear the next day. You're not reliable, dependable. You're just not there. So it leads you to be isolated, because you're here a minute and gone a minute, disappear a minute. You just not there, and then you like, I don't have friends. My relationship's always in. You end up isolated, and they're trying to say that incels are now on the computer, or men going their own way. They have just decided to stop and give up, and they're isolated. They have isolated themselves, but they're online. You can hear them online, but they live isolated lives. So you have to learn to let people see into you, to go out there, to put yourself out there, go in long-term bonded relationships, and like throughout time, it don't always work out, but you're able to say, that didn't work, but I still know that I need to have that person that's there, that is engaged, and I don't even have to talk to them every day, but I know when we meet up, it's still wonderful or great. Or if I have a question about something or need something, I know I can give this person a call, and if they don't know the answer, they'll at least listen. So that's what's learned in young adulthood. But I think it's really difficult in adolescence. You take a bang, because all the 1 month you like this boy, the next 2 months you like this boy, and you're going through a lot of dating, and that is in and out, falling in love so hard this week, and then you can't stand them the next week. And the same thing with the girls. You're with her this month, and the next month you're with someone else. So that's a lot of bumps and bruises and breakups. And then in young adulthood, it's the same thing, because in young adulthood is the prime of your life. You're the most beautiful, you're the most sexual, you're the most physically fit. It is prime time. And that prime time is used in a lot of sexual activity instead of more targeted expressions. It is a time where a lot of mistakes are made, because hey, you're out there, you're enjoying life, doing things, testing things like the young toddler did. How far can I go? I'm free from my parents. I can do this. Women want me. Men want me. It's glamorous. It's wonderful. And a lot of times this is just a lot. And this time, a lot of young girls, because we can't do the sexual scene without end up pregnant, And the young man, because so many women want him, he's very attractive. He's very highly sex charged, He ended up having a lot of children out of wedlock. So this time is a very intense time. It impacts your life for all the way into late adulthood, the choices made now in health, all the things that you're doing to your body in young adulthood. And I should have said the age range. The age range of young adulthood is late teens through mid to late 30s. I'll say that again. So we're talking about 18, 19 to probably about 37. That's a long span of time to be out there wilding out and doing a lot of things. And your health, the things that you do health-wise and your choices you make at this time will impact you. You'll see the effects about 45 and age 45 and 50 from the choices and what you did in your 20s. And I hear people all the time, I shouldn't have been out there carrying heavy things, but I was so strong. I could lift up everything. And now their knees are blown out, their back is blown out, their shoulders are blown out, and all of that was done in their 20s and something, but you were strong as an ox, a bull. It was wonderful. And the same thing for girls that do a lot of things in their 20s, cosmetic surgery, and what have you, to be beautiful, more beautiful, because you're already beautiful. And then the effects start hitting them at 45 and 50. It's not what you're doing then. And people are like, oh, I'll stop it now. The damage was done, and the damage was started and initiated, and it had a lot of years to deteriorate and get to where now it's seen in a problem. So young adulthood is wild, and I don't think we give enough guidance way beforehand for our young children to face this time in life. And they're out there doing trial and error, and woo. That's all I can say is woo. But I'm going to talk about young adulthood more. Like I say, it is the voice that I hear speaking. People say it's anger. I say it's pain. That's what made me decide to speak on manhood, because I feel our men aren't in pain. They're just not saying this to be saying it. There's a lot going on, and they just needed somebody to say, I hear you. And I understand, and that's all I'm trying to say is I hear you, and I don't hear this anger when I hear all the language of the manosphere towards women and towards other men, because it's abusive towards other men as well. I know it's pain. There's two emotions that express themselves, and that is love and fear. Love and fear. Every other emotion comes out of those two. So there's love and fear. I'll leave that there for now because this video is getting long. Next, we have middle. So if you don't have intimacy, see into me, you end up in isolation. And I think a lot of the complaining online is those are people in the isolation stage, and they're lonely and they don't like it and they're by themselves. Next stage, seventh stage, is middle adulthood. And then, now this is generativity versus stagnation. Middle adulthood is what people have commonly said a midlife crisis, right? He's having a midlife crisis. But this is a time in your life where you assess your life. What have I done? Do you feel like you made a mark on the world? Did you reach your goals? Will you be missed? If you died right now, who would miss you? What would they say about you? What would they think about you? Did you contribute anything to the world? How was my life? And then, like the men, the stereotypical midlife crisis they would talk about, they would say, look at him, he's going out there and buy that muscle car, he's trying to get physically fit, he done dyed his hair and everything. That man probably assessed, I've been a good father, I've been a good provider, I've been a great husband, and he felt like I didn't have fun. I was being responsible and doing what I need to do, but I don't think I enjoyed my life enough. I didn't have enough fun. And then they end up going out splurging and say, well, I'm going to have fun now, But that comes with the assessment of your life. Do they feel like their work or their lives mattered? And did they feel like they contribute anything socially or to their family? Now, he probably was a great, wonderful family man, but maybe that didn't satisfy him to saying, when I look back, what did I did? Did what I do, did I feel good? People look at jobs, and a lot of times here, you see people who were running after the money and getting money and was very successful, and they say, hold on, I did that. That was great, but I never got to live my passion. Now I want to be a dancer, singer, actor, painter, chef, and whatever. And they leave that career and go into something else. And the good part about it, you could see someone also that was in a job, like, I've hated this job. These people didn't appreciate me. I'm done. I'm not going to give them any more years. I'm going back to school, and I'm going for the job I want. So then middle adulthood is a lot of time when they assess their life and say, did I do anything? Did I make a difference in anyone's life? Sometimes it's wonderful to say, I just raised wonderful children. I was there. I was a good mother. That time is ended. Now I want to do something else. And it's good. It doesn't have to be a crisis when you do your evaluation. It could just be wonderful. I enjoyed it. I did military. I did my 20 years. It's over with that. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. People make changes, and that's what's good. But it's positive change. If the person is dissatisfied with their life, I've been in this dead-end job, I hate the people, and I never got made and everything, they stagnate. And stagnate means they're going to stay there, they're going to complain, they're going to moan. This is when children say, oh, grandpa's so grumpy, or I don't like to be around them old people that are always complaining. You hear people, they say, married people, don't get married, it's the worst thing in your life. You don't listen to them anyway. If someone's been married and they sitting there saying it's the worst thing and it's something you shouldn't do and it's horrible, that's not someone to get marriage advice from, because they don't have anything that's positive to impart to you. And this is where you can hear women say, if I hadn't have got pregnant, I would have did this, or I should have married the one that got away. My life would have been different, or I should have went for a career and not the family. Some people can just stay there and do the complaining, like their life is over and they've wasted it and they didn't amount to anything, and that's the end. It's not the end. It can be a wonderful beginning, or it can be a wonderful time to decide to make a change, or you don't even have to change. You can stay in the job that you hate, but then you decide, I need to pick up hobbies and do things that I like. That's what you need to do, instead of this stagnation where you run into the person who's just complaining constantly over and over on everything and doing nothing to change their situation. I mean, middle adulthood, people are still vibrant and still active, still beautiful, and still cognitively able to learn and do. And it doesn't have to be, let me start at the bottom again and work my way up to something. It's just a time to look and reflect. And even if you don't have anything that you think was positive or that you did was good and well, you can begin then. What can you do to make that mark? You can volunteer organizations, you can help others, you can do a lot of things to say my life mattered while I was here. And I did do something. And if you just reflecting on, I didn't become a millionaire, you're going to go to stagnation. You're just going to go to stagnation. You might start a new business and become a millionaire. Who knows? Give it a try. But you don't want to come to stagnation and complaining. You want to be generative, have generativity. And that means that, all right, let me begin, sprout, generate right now what it is that I want people to, when they think of me and reflect, to say and see and everything. So it's not over. None of these stages are over until you're dead. You can always work on these things. And if you're in young adulthood, this is going to come up. You're going to reach a point in time where you're going to look back and say, what did I do? A lot of men say, all I did was sleep with thousands of women, and now I'm alone. And they don't like that. And they may just sit there and talk about the women they had because they can't get one because they did all of that in their youth. And they said, you know, I should have married Sue, or I shouldn't have did this to this girl. And you got to listen to those stories. You have to listen to a lot of stories when you get into middle adulthood. Then the last stage is late adulthood. And this is integrity versus despair. Integrity versus despair. This person is looking at end of life. They already reflected back already. They may have had times to do some adjustments. If they were bad parents, you hear them talking to their children. I should have did this or would have did this, and everybody said, "Oh, they getting ready to die. That's why that's why they're acting like this. They're trying to get in heaven. They're being good." And it is. It's still another time of reflection, but it's a different type of reflection because it's a whole bunch of years. 80 years to look at. That's a whole bunch of review of what kind of person you were. What did you do? No longer they're saying, did I leave my footprint? It's like, what did I do with all those years? And it's so funny because when grandpa and grandma get that, you wouldn't think they did one little bad thing, sinful thing, sexual thing, criminal thing. You just think they're just a saint and just wonderful, always smiling and happy and tender and loving and hugs and sugar. But they went through all these other stages, and they went through that prime of life stage too, where they was wilding out. And now they're in the life, and they are really looking at totality. It's not what did I do and leave my mark. They're looking at their whole span, and they want to see if they had a successful life, a meaningful life. This isn't did I accomplish or what this and this, I didn't have this and this. It's like, was this lifetime I lived successful? And that's when people say it's not about the money. Because that person is not going to sit there and say, I have $80 billion. Wow, I had a life. No, they're going to look at people and places and how they felt during them times. Some people have been stressed and wound tight their whole lives. They're going to look at, reminisce about good times and things that brought joy to them. And that's what's that kind of reflection. And if they had that meaningful career and I gave it all, did all, and it was wonderful, and they start pointing at awards and certificates, and they children, people say they keep pulling out the grandchildren pictures and stuff. But that's what means to them. And that's what they reach at ego integrity. And that's what they said. I love the Lord my whole life. And it was like, when you was 20, was you loving the Lord then out there doing? Yeah, love the Lord my whole life. I wasn't a never type of person that would fight and get in arguments. You start hitting. That's why you think they were saints, because they got this summation now of their entire life. And that's the way they go out. And that's the way you remember them. And they feel good. But if they don't have that, they just had a ragged life all the way through, they have despair. And once again, we hear people complaining and reflecting on all the negative, and they're sad about of what they went successfully in, and they get stuck there. But we have to help the older people, just with the children, reflect on what did you good you give. But all of that, when you get to late adulthood, listen, you done went through so many stages that you probably didn't develop. Just think, instead of trust, you had mistrust. Instead of autonomy, you had shame and doubt. Instead of industry, you had inferiority. Instead of identity, you had role confusion. Instead of intimacy, you had isolation. Instead of generativity, you had stagnation. So you can have a mature adult who now is a person that lived a life filled with doubt, guilt, inferiority, role confusion, isolation, stagnation, and despair. So yeah, you can really end up with a person like that, or you can have a person that trusts people, autonomy, had initiative, industry, identity, intimacy, generativity, and integrity. So it is very important, more so than what do you bring to the table, but who do you bring to the table. You can end up bringing a person to the table that's full of despair. You can end up bringing a person to the table that's stagnant. You can bring a person that's really isolated. They only talk to you, nobody else. You're the only one, isolated. a person that has role confusion. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want to do. They trying this new business this month or year and something else and something they flighty and they're everywhere. Or you have a person that come to the table with a inferiority complex, and you got to call them every 4 times a day, text them 20 times a day, answer on time, tell them your location. What? It's just madness. Person filled with guilt, and timid. They can't make decisions. They're not a good partner. They never know what they want, or they don't speak up about what they want, and shame and doubt. So this is very important. When you say, I want to be in a relationship, I can't get a person, a woman, or what have you. You have to think about, who are you? And if you're whole and everything, if you have all of the positive sides going of stages of development, you're going to have someone. You're going to have someone. And that's why I brought this up, because it's so important. Because if you're this person that have all of the positives on this side, you're going to have some wonderful relationships. You really are. It's just going to, with law of attraction, going to attract to you. But if you have all the other negatives, you're going to end up attracting those kind of people. Hurt people, unwell people, mentally unhealthy people, mentally unstable people. And I'm not talking about the mental illness like bipolar or schizophrenia. I'm talking about people who are unhappy in their mind, that are frustrated, that's angry, bitter, revengeful, all this stuff. They're not developing. They're getting stuck in certain stages, and it don't matter what age you are, you can get stuck in a certain stage and you behave that way and you don't move forward, or you don't reach back and develop things that you need to. So it's so important, before we get into relationships, that one person that you bring, you need to be the best you before you invite someone else to join you. Because two broken people together is going to be chaotic, broken, mess, everything. So it's really important. And I think before I could go on talking about manhood and what is manhood and what's masculinity, we first have to know what is a whole and healthy man, what is a whole and healthy woman, and you need whole and healthy people to be in a relationship and to express manhood and express womanhood. So this was a pretty long video, but I thank you all for coming back and picking up this. And as I said, I'm going to go into the specific stage of human development for young adult, because like I say, I think that is the group that is voicing most that manhood is being attacked, or they're being emasculated, and women have all the power in relationships and all they want is money. So it's a lot of chatter. So I want to go into young adulthood more in depth. Where should the young adult be in their human development? This individual that wants to be in a relationship, that wants a woman, that wants a man, that wants a relationship, that wants to be that power couple. You can't be a power couple if part of you is not developed well. You have to be. Power couples, I mean, they're prime. They own their thing. They constantly developing themselves and reaching. I mean, you see JC and Beyonce and how they change and grow and become. They are not stagnant whatsoever, and they have hands in many different things in many different places. And that's just not in one thing. When a person is able to do that in one area, they're able to do that in many areas. You do not have one great skill and it only goes in that one direction. That one great skill goes pretty much across the board in how you operate. If you're an artist and you're creative and you're open and expressive, that person is usually like that in relationships when they socialize and everything. If you're rigid and you're tight in how you work and everything has to be just right, just so, just right, just so, you are like that across the board. You are not one-dimensional. You're dynamic. Who you are spreads. So power couples are very dynamic, and they're probably very dynamic in their love relationship and how it operates and expands. If they expand businesses, try new things, they're doing that within relationship also, more than likely. All right. As I say, thank you for staying through this video. I appreciate you tuning in. Like, comment, share. If there's something you want me to speak on and clarify or expound on, just leave a comment. you have something that you would like me to speak on, please let me know, and I'll do that also. Like I said, this is about manhood. I'm not trying to tell you how to be a man. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to be a woman. I'm just speaking and addressing what I think I'm hearing out there, the pain men are going through. I'm not dismissing it. I'm not name calling. I'm just looking at it and say, hey, this is what I think about it, and this is what I feel and offer. Don't forget, you can buy my book, When Will Eve Be Forgiven? And that is a look at how Christianity and the Bible defined women throughout the centuries, the early fathers of the church, how they viewed women, and whether or not they taught sound doctrine about woman and womanhood in the Bible. So that is a great read. So yes, I don't talk about manhood, I'm talking about womanhood. So I do both because man was not meant to be alone. Two becomes one. So you really can't talk about manhood without womanhood and womanhood without manhood. So as I said, thank you. The next video will be on young adulthood, and I look forward to visiting and sharing that time with you. Thank you. Have a great day.